Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today I will teach you something about limiting reactant. The limiting reactant is the reactant that is completely used up in a reaction. It means during any chemical reaction, if we take more than one reactant, and if one of the reactant is completely used up during the reaction, that reactant is said to be a limiting reactant. Or this limiting reactant, basically this reactant determines the amount of the product formed in the reaction, and that reactant that is not completely used up and it remains left in during reaction, that reactant is said to be in excess. For example, if we have two reactants like A and B, and they combine to form product C, and if out of any two products, if one product is completely used up or it finished during the reaction, suppose that is A, then this A is said to be limiting reactant, and if B remains unreactive and it remains left in the solution, then this B is said to be in excess. So the reactant that is completely used up in the reaction is said to be a limiting reactant, and that reactant that remains left in the reaction, that is called as, that is said to be in excess. We can explain this concept of limiting reactant with very simple example. As you can see in the diagram, if a baker in a bakery has 10 cakes and 8 boxes, so if the boxes are 8 and the cakes are 10, it means if he want to sell all these cakes, so he must need 10 boxes. As he has only 8 boxes, so the boxes limits the number of the cakes that can be sold. The boxes are said to be limiting reactant, and the cakes are in the excess, and they said to be reactant in excess, right? And here you have a very simple example, a common reaction between hydrogen and chlorine, and they form hydrogen chloride. If we have 1 mole of hydrogen and 1 mole of chlorine, and they react to form 2 moles of hydrochloric acid, it means all the hydrogen and chlorine, they are used up and there is no reactant which remains left. So all the reactants, they are completely utilized and they form hydrochloric acid. But if 2 moles of hydrogen, they react with 1 mole of chlorine, again we have 2 moles of hydrochloric acid and hydrogen remains left. This hydrogen remains unreactive. So in this example, hydrogen is said to be in excess, and chlorine, as it is completely utilized, it is a limiting reactant. But in third example, as you can see, if we have more chlorine gas, if we have more moles of chlorine and 1 mole of hydrogen, when they react together, then the complete utilization of the hydrogen takes place, and they react to form 2 moles of hydrochloric acid and 1 mole of chlorine remains left. So in this case, chlorine is said to be in excess and hydrogen is our limiting reactant because it is completely used up. So importance of the limiting reactant, how the limiting reactant, why are they important? In chemical industry, it is important to identify the limiting reactant in order to get the maximum yield of the product at minimum cost. Generally, the most expensive reactant is chosen to be the limiting reactant, and other reactants in the reactions are used in excess. This ensures that all the expensive reactants is used up. Excess reactants are recycled as far as possible in order to reduce the production cost. Here we have a simple calculation. How can we identify the limiting reactant in a chemical reaction? If there is a reaction between zinc and sulfur and they produce large amount of the heat which is used to propel small rockets, for example, 1 mole of the zinc reacts with 1 mole of the sulfur and produce 1 mole of zinc sulfide. When 13 gram of the powdered zinc was heated with 8 gram of the powdered sulfur, a Vickers reaction occurred and zinc sulfide was formed. Identify the limiting reactant in this reaction and calculate the mass of the excess reactant. How can we identify the limiting reactant? For this purpose, you have to follow these steps. First of all, you will find the number of moles of each reactant first, as we can find moles with the help of given mass and relative atomic mass. So number of moles of the zinc, given mass over relative atomic mass. Given mass is 13, relative atomic mass is 65. So we will get 0.2 moles of the zinc. Same is the case with the sulfur. You can convert the given mass of the sulfur into moles by dividing given mass with the relative atomic mass of the sulfur, 8 over 32, and you will get 0.25 moles of the sulfur. Now, second step, you will find the mole ratio of the reactants. How can you find the mole ratio? As according to given equation, 1 mole of the zinc needs 1 mole of the sulfur to form 1 mole of zinc sulfide. It means equal amounts of the zinc and sulfur, they completely react to form zinc sulfide. But in example, you have 0.2 mole of the zinc which should react with 0.2 mole of the sulfur, but you have 0.25 of the mole of the sulfur, right? Or you can say that 0.25 moles of the sulfur needs 0.25 moles of the zinc to react completely, but you have 0.2 moles of the zinc, right? So in this case, your limiting reactant is zinc because it is 0.20 mole, and sulfur is in excess because it is 0.25 mole. Now the second part, how much sulfur remains unreactive. So for this purpose, you will find unreacted sulfur moles, 0.25 minus 0.2, and 0.05 moles of the sulfur remains unreactive. Now change these moles into mass, 0.05 multiplied by 32, and use the formula mass is equal to mole into relative atomic mass. So you will get 1.6 gram of the sulfur. Hopefully you will find this topic easy and simple. Thank you.